What is happening? Ryan back here again. Today I want to take a look at drum programming. Sometimes you don't have the luxury of hiring a drummer, and actually most of the stuff that I do, I don't have time to go out and track a drummer and go through the entire process, and frankly, it's just so much easier to program it in the computer. So let's take a look.
And abused like a tiny piece of metal, thrown in the back, tarnished like a kettle. But they were not aware, no, they didn't care. Give it off, buy it off, use it up like water, throw it out, there's no doubt, no use for it now.
None of the drums are real. They're all, I just played them in with my keyboard. The samples are real, however. I took and sampled a drummer I used to play with. But you could do the same exact technique that I'm going to show you with any drum program, whether it be Battery or whether it be, Kontakt, or whether it be, Pro Tools version or Cubase version. Any drum beat thing or plugin will work for this. So basically, drum programming takes some time, but what I would say that will be the most helpful is create a software instrument with your drum sample on there and play in your part, play in your part one part at a time. And then take it and duplicate that track and separate it so you have complete separation with your kick, snare, drum, toms, and overhead, etc. So let's see. Let's take a look at what's going on here. Okay, so what I remember doing in this is I believe I recorded the guitars first, because that's what the song is based off of, and I created a, let's see if I have the hidden, I usually create a record track, so let's do that now. So what I'll do is I'll start with the kick and the snare first. I used to try to do everything at once or start with the hi-hats. Well, the kick and the snare are the most important parts, in my opinion, in any drum programming. I mean, in hip-hop, it's the kick and the snare. That's sometimes all you hear. And in something like this, it's very, very important. So if you start that way, just with two fingers, you can, let's see, where is my, there we go. So I'll literally go along and listen to the song and just play something, I'll play along until I find what I like with the kick and the snare, until that feels right. And this is what I came up with when I just started with the snare and the kick. And when I play it, it won't be perfect, but it'll get the gist. I'll sometimes do some fills, but you know, a lot of these fills, it will be like something like this. Like this, it'll either be perfect or a failed attempt, and then I'll go back and edit it in. But if you play out your kick and snare, that will really, really get the feel right, the groove right with the song. Then once I'm done with the kick and the snare, I'll take the part and copy it down to the separate snare track and to the separate kick track, and then delete the other parts. Does that make sense? So let's see here. Okay, so this is what our track would look like. So say we listened to the song back, we played back, we recorded our kick and our snare, it would look like this. We then would copy this part, and I've showed this in an orchestration technique. We copy this part down to the snare track and the kick track, and then on the snare track we'll just delete the kick, and on the kick track we'll delete the snare. And then I'll just mute this track and leave it just for reference. Then I'll go in and I'll record the overheads next. The overheads would be like, you know, a hi-hat or a ride and the cymbals and all that. I'll do it on this track. And then once I'm done with that, I'll copy this part down again to the overheads and get rid of the kick and the snare. So if you start with the kick and the snare first, then go to the overheads, and then go to the toms, usually that's the best place to start, unless it is tom heavy. I think actually on this I may have a tom fill starting it out. Let's see. Okay, so the intro took me some time. I actually played it over and over with just the kick. I kind of played the kick and the snare and then did the fills with my other fingers on the toms. And then, you know, copied them and separated them to these different parts and worked, you know, reprogrammed the toms till they sounded realistic. And then the rest of the song, I just did the kick and the snare and then added in the overheads, and then did the toms last, added in the fills later on. And then you can go in and just finesse it. Let me show you what the overheads are doing. And when you put them all together, you get this. And again, I just started, you know, so I just started with that do dot, 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 and then later added in the da 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 da. hopefully that helps. Sorry, I'm having a massive delay with this screen recording. But yeah, it's really not that complex. I used to think of drums as this really, really complicated thing to program. They're very complicated to play. But when I was playing in this band, I watched the drummer, who was a very great drummer, program the drums himself, and this is exactly what he did. He started with the kick and the snare, and then added everything else around it. And that, from there, it's made my programming so much easier. Hope that helps. Obviously, there's a lot more depth we can go into, but this is just a quick tip. So you can check out the link to this song below, and feel free to like and subscribe, and have a great day or night wherever you're coming from. All right, take care. Bye.